Hey everybody, this is Perry Fields, and I decided to maybe do a few videos here now because who has time to read a newsletter and who has time to read a blog post? I thought maybe videos would be a good idea and to answer some of your questions via video. I get a lot of questions every single week and sometimes I just don't have time to get to them. I'm working really hard to try to get to form questions at the moment. This was actually an email sent to me I guess it was a couple of weeks ago, and I was knee-deep in product development and working on an app. So just real busy, and I really wanted to get to it. I won't say what her name is, but she does have a lot of great questions about Lyme disease and about neurological symptoms and methylation issues. And I wanted to answer all of these the best that I could and kind of give you my 2 cents because, as a lot of you know, I'm quite opinionated, having gone through the whole Lyme recovery and recovery from multiple autoimmune issues, and I definitely have my 2 cents. And with that, I should also say, obviously I'm not a doctor and most of you know that, so if you don't feel comfortable listening to what I have to say, listen to it and then talk to your doctor about some of these things. More often than not, if you're with a really good doctor, he's probably going to agree with me 100%. So, we'll say this is from Jane. Let's see. Okay, so Jane was... I spoke to the North Texas Lyme group and Jane was there, and she said that she had heard about me before and had seen the tick slayer in some of her searches, and she says, what a goof for not checking you out. Well, don't worry about it. I'm sure a lot of people see the title, they probably think it's kind of hokey and cheesy, and that's okay. The whole point is that everybody knows how miserable having Lyme disease is, and I needed to do something that was kind of fun and encouraging instead of just being so downtrodden and miserable. And you probably understand that quite well. So she has daughters that are very, very sick, and she says one of her daughters is very young. She's having scary neuro symptoms from reinfection with Bartonella and a crash after taking some powerful Lyme supplements that are naturopath recommended. She says she is having problems walking, her legs are weak, tingling, burning, they're going numb, her muscles are twitching on their own, intense stomach pain, nausea, huge swollen lymph nodes. Okay, so obviously there is a lot of neurological stuff going on. I think the first problem obviously is she's not detoxing well enough, and there's a huge inflammation problem. There are lots of great, powerful, just as she said, Lyme supplements to take that are all natural that can really put you on your butt. But if you're not doing things to really get your body primed for them, they're going to work in a way that makes you miserable, number one, and also prolongs your illness because you get into the cycle of you're killing a lot of things off, but you're not able to get rid of it. So that's obviously what she's going through right now. She has a toxicity issue and needs to take care of that. So she has a lot of questions here, and she says later in the email that she realizes that methylation issues and detox issues are probably causing her girl's symptoms. Okay, she's going to go see a Lyme doctor soon. Okay, so one of her questions here is, my biggest question is how to fix the emotional when Bartonella is looming and causing all kinds of problems. She says her kid's really negative and having a very hard time being positive, has severe depression, and she says she feels like she's a bad person. Well, hopefully she read the book, because the book is very positive. and can give lots of encouragement for people who find themselves in that situation. I too was in that situation when I was really sick, and it is miserable. And unfortunately, it's very hard to separate the physical side of disease and the emotional side of disease, because when you feel so bad, it's hard to be positive about your situation. The only suggestion that I can make is that you need to decide for her and help her figure out if there's some things other than the actual infection that are keeping her down. So it could be past trauma, it could be things that happened to her when she was a baby. It's unbelievable what people retain, and just because she doesn't remember it doesn't mean that it's not there. And I find a lot of people who are really, really sick, and they're the kind of people who say they do everything and they're still ill. They're the people who are the prime candidates for having to remove these emotional burdens. The best way that I have found so far is using Ellen Light. Ellen Light is, here we go. This is a really difficult subject matter to even talk about. A lot of people think it's hokey and weird. She calls herself a little bit of a medical intuitive slash, she's had a background in psychology. She was a nurse in a mental ward, and has an amazing background. But what she ended up learning to do at a later age in life is how to remove all these emotional layers that are around people, whether it be spiritual. Yes, I said it, spiritual. So a lot of people are like, oh, I'm already immediately getting uncomfortable. It's very difficult subject matter to explain. I do have a couple of videos that are on my blog about Ellen Light. You can Google her. It's ELYNN Light, Ellen Light. And you can contact her and just say, listen, I know Perry Fields, tell me what you can do for me. And she will tell you what she can do for you, and she can explain it a hell of a lot better than I can. So I would say take your daughter to go see her, or at least if you can't physically see her, you can actually work with her over the phone. So that's what I would do. I would work with her in that way, because she's probably the only woman that I know of, or person for that matter, that can actually get through. Again, what she does is too amazing to even describe, so please watch those videos. She says that, I see as I read your book there are a lot of good tests to do, first to address nutrition and detoxing issues. She says, she lists all these tests, and then she says, should I do all these first and right away before doing anything else? Well, yes. Well, no, but yes, there are a lot of tests out there. And so she lists all these tests. She says nutrition, hormones, liver phases, genetic testing, thyroid, adrenal, urine, iodine, parasite stool, heavy hair, heavy metal. Well, the ones that I would focus in on, and I mean as a best bang for your buck, would be nutrition immediately to see what your deficiencies are. Iodine is quite important. Iodine is like the mega antimicrobial, period. So all these people who have Lyme, like I would say probably around 80% have extremely low iodine levels. It could probably be higher than that. I'm actually trying to make a safe guesstimate. Parasite stool. Parasite testing is extremely important. However, parasite tests probably can identify 20% of all the parasites that are out there. So if you are positive for something and it is pretty serious, then you're going to probably need to get on medicine for something. And a lot of people actually do end up having some kind of cootie that really does need medical attention right away. So don't be shocked if you need to get a prescription for, deworming or something. I obviously prefer an all-natural method. But then again, I know that sometimes if your gut is that filled with pathogens, sometimes medicine comes into play and you actually need to do this. And deworming medicine is a lot different than taking antibiotics, the kind that you take for bacterial infections. It's a whole different ballgame. A lot of times you can be dewormed and not even have any kind of negative side effect other than the actual worms dying off. And yes, worms are in there a lot of times. So nutrition, iodine, parasite, stool. Now, with iodine testing, you can actually get the urine iodine test. That's helpful, but you could also just buy nascent iodine, put a few drops on your skin, and see how quickly it actually absorbs. And if it absorbs really quickly, then it means you're deficient. And if you have iodine on your skin and it's 12 hours, 24 hours later, that's actually normal. That's what you want. I think going into hormone testing for kids, I wouldn't do it. Adrenals, you can just bet right now that she has some type of at least mild adrenal problem. It just comes with the ball game. So that's how it is. Thyroid, probably not as a younger person, but as an older person, hell yeah, you got a thyroid problem. Almost everybody that I talk to or that I coach has a hypothyroid. And if it's not considered hypothyroid by testing, they almost always feel better if they get on nutrients and iodine, and even sometimes glandulars, to actually treat it like they do have a hypothyroid. They're like, all of a sudden I feel energetic in the morning. So testing for thyroid is it's really finicky. I wouldn't say all the doctors actually out there know how to really read it, and they're just going off of reference ranges. Reference ranges, as you know, doesn't actually give you a definitive answer, period. So a lot of it's just symptom based. Genetic testing, I wouldn't do that quite yet. Liver phases, she probably does have a problem. I mean, most people do have genetic problems with the detoxing, period. So when people are like, oh, I have problems with methylation, yeah, of course you do. I mean, I don't know anybody who doesn't, really. Hormones, unless she's an older woman or an older man, I'd say skip it. Our next question is, should a person do a parasite cleanse before addressing methylation defects in the liver phase 1 and 2 function? No. You should really get your liver cleaned up, or at least work on it a few weeks. And I mean a few weeks like super hard, supplementing really well. It takes 6 weeks for the liver to regenerate completely and to make it actually a new organ. So that's the good news about the liver. It can regenerate like that. But if your liver's really sick and you go do a parasite cleanse, you do have things like liver flukes that are in your liver, and on top of all the toxicity that's already in there from, let's say, if you did antibiotics for a while. So I wouldn't do a parasite cleanse until I addressed my gut health a little bit and my liver health a little bit before I go and hit a parasite cleanse up. But parasite cleanses are really important to do before you even get into all this Lyme, like taking this herb and cemento and kumanda and blah, 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 blah. I would definitely address the fact that you have parasites first before you even go to the Lyme situation. Are the directions for the Himalayan salt detox online somewhere? Okay, well, I don't know if everyone knows this yet, but when I do the salt and sea protocol, it's using Soleil, which is Himalayan salt and water, and then it's using calcium ascorbate, which is the alkaline form of vitamin C, and it has other really wonderful things in it, the kind that I have, and it works extremely well. And are the directions online somewhere? I do have this in the Tick Slayer plan. That's the digital plan that you can get online. And I need to actually put this somewhere on my blog or my forum. So I actually need to do that because I don't know if it's up right now. She did mention that she says she did clay baths and she felt awful afterwards. Well, if she's really toxic, if she does a clay bath, sometimes you can feel really exhausted afterwards. The pulling effect of an energized clay detox bath is substantial, and even if you're healthy, people will be exhausted for the rest of the day after they do one of these. So I've had people alternatively tell me that they feel energized after doing it. I really think it depends on your toxicity burden and how well you can pump back up after you're like pulling all this stuff out. It takes energy to pull it out and then for your body to get normalized again. That's the name of the game, really. It's about energy. What is the name of the aloe oil you like? The aloe oil I like is Aloe Mend. You can search for it on the TixSlayer website. It's essential fatty acids, but it also has all these different types of fatty acid strains. So some people know that there's short chain fatty acids, medium chain fatty acids. They're familiar with items like coconut oil. Well, that's like just one chain. When you're talking about aloe oil, you're talking about lots of different chains, like hundreds of different types of chains. So sometimes they're called pearls because they're all these different sizes, and they're really great for healing the gut. Very important for inflammation and healing the gut. Can I give that to my daughter before we worked on detox issues? Yeah, of course you can, because it's really mostly inflammation that it works on. Turmeric did not work for her, and she began killing candida or something else and was messed up for 4 days after just taking 4 capsules. Yeah, she's highly sensitive and highly responsive because she's highly toxic. And when you start taking things like turmeric's also a very high powerful antioxidant. So that would make sense that she would feel kind of bad. Again, it's transfer of energy. So you take somebody in a low energy state and you put them in a high energy state. Let's say you get in front of the multi-wave oscillator, or you use OnDemed, or you use a light beam generator, something like that. Let's just say, for example, or you're taking something orally that's highly energetic for you, like let's say aloe. I know people who herx after taking aloe quench, like a teaspoon of it, and they start herxing. It's because it's so energetic. And again, it takes energy, and it takes time for your body to cope with the change of energy state. So you're a low energy state, you're sick, you're not feeling well, but then you start doing these high powered things, and your body needs time to respond and to adapt to it. Okay. She says, have you ever heard of real vitamin C from Whole Foods, not synthetic? You know, I don't look anywhere outside of what I use because what I use is so daggum good. I almost said damn. But really. So let's talk about, I'll just talk real quickly. Yeah, whole food of a vitamin is a lot better than synthetic usually. But if you're talking about having severe deficiency, hey man, any way that you can get it in, get it in. But the reason why I don't look is because the product that I have is called Synergy C. It's calcium ascorbate. Calcium ascorbate is highly, highly alkaline, and I think that's why so many people respond so well to it. It's extremely useful product. Ascorbic acid. So the ascorbic part is actually acid. So, I mean, it creates acid. So there's the ascorbate type of vitamin C and the ascorbic vitamin C. You don't want the ascorbic, you want the ascorbate. And on top of that, you can do sodium ascorbate and you can do calcium ascorbate, and those are 2 different versions of vitamin C. I highly suggest the calcium ascorbate version of vitamin C. What do you think about and I don't know if this really makes sense. What do you think about infrared sauna to help with detox and killing spirochetes? We're considering getting one for my girls to use once they can detox better. Oh man, infrared heat is great for everyone. It also reduces inflammation, so it's handy with doing lots of things. But as far as like actually using it for heat therapy, you can get hot enough, but it's really hard to get your body temperature up in infrared sauna. I suggest going to these gyms that use dry saunas and using it as a way to do hyperthermia treatments. I actually talk about that in the Tick Slayer plan, the digital plan, and I would actually prefer that over infrared. I consider infrared heat really helpful for inflammation and people who have like a lot of muscular problems. But if you're just talking about pumping up your immune system like in a major way and using heat to do that, highly suggest doing dry sauna. The dry saunas at most gyms are at 180 degrees or 220 degrees Fahrenheit. That's really quite hot. 15 minutes, that's pretty much all you need. But again, there's different ways of doing it. There's like the ramp up method, so you're like training your body to get used to it. And of course you shouldn't be doing it every day either. So don't get, when I make suggestions about things that are really strong, don't get carried away. Okay, because some of this stuff really is powerful. And again, you need time. What question should I ask my biological dentist to be certain we are going to get what we need? Can I put my 13-year-old through the searing pain you described? Okay, well, not everybody has that searing pain that I described in the book, but man, I had a wicked case of oral pathology. I mean, I had serious necrosis, and I had it in all 4 places where my wisdom teeth were taken out. Ooh-wee, it was nasty. And not only that, but I wasn't even prepared. So in the plan, I talk about things that you should do before and things that you should do after. I always say from a scale of 1 to 10, make sure that you feel like a 4.5, 10 being the best, a 4.5 or 5 before you even consider going to see a biological dentist to go get work done. Because if you go and you don't feel so great, boy, you are really going to feel terrible afterwards. But again, if you have a plan to deal with the toxicity that comes out, you got your clay ready, you got your binders, you're going to schedule your IVC, and a couple weeks later you can get your ozone. You're going to be ready. I wasn't ready. I didn't know what I was doing. So and of course, don't go if you're traveling somewhere to go see a biological dentist. Don't go by yourself. Always take somebody with you. Don't do what I did. But yeah, she'll probably be fine. But again, I would still make sure that she feels around a 5 or 6. Work through a little bit of a plan, getting her to feel better again before you hit up a biological dentist, for sure. And what questions to ask? Well, the biggest deal really is, I'd probably say making sure that they go into every place that's questionable. Because if they have questions about a certain area and they're not completely sure that there might be infection in there and it's kind of questionable, it's always best to get them to go in there and just take a look. Because the testing is always not conclusive. It's as good as they can get it. They use digital x-ray, which is, you really can't see these spots. They're like this small. Some of them use thermal image. You have to have some pretty serious hot spots in a thermal image for them to actually say, oh yeah, there might be a problem there. Yeah. And then there's Cavitat, which is that sonar 3D imaging, which is pretty good, but there's also this FDA lawsuit crazy stuff, and a lot of dentists don't even talk about even using them, even though some of them have them. I don't even want to go into that. And then there's Meridian testing, which is really great. That's probably one of the best ways to do it, which is using energy medicine, testing the actual meridians. All these teeth are connected to meridians in your body, and the back ones are actually connected to your kidney meridian and your small intestine's meridian. So everybody who's had those wisdom teeth cut out, yeah, that's right, your meridians are screwed up. And you probably do have, you're probably wondering why you keep having urinary tract infections, or, you know, you're having to urinate all the time, or you just have kidney issues, or kidney stones, or gut problems. It's because, you know, it's hard to get all that healed up completely when you have these meridians that are off. Why are tooth implants bad? Well, again, going back to the meridian stuff, well, you're basically putting, it's like getting a root canal or any other type of work. When you get there, it disrupts that meridian. So does a tooth implant. Then, of course, every time you put something fake into your mouth, you're having to deal with compatibility issues. Does your body reject it? It's like women who get, like, breast implants. I mean, you know, some women, their bodies just completely reject it. And then other women's like, so-so. But I would imagine that there's not one woman out there whose body's going, yeah, give me some saline bags that are in plastic. You know, you know what I mean? So, tooth implants. Well, I'd probably get one of those implants that, let's say it was a front tooth. You could get like a snap-on that snaps onto the teeth beside it. I would get one of those. I personally would never get an implant. This oral pathology was like the bane of my existence for so long that I will never challenge it again. I mean, if I break my front teeth, I'm not going to get implants. I guess I'll just have to rock the I was going to say hobo, but however you'd like to describe it, the hockey player look. Is there a thyroid support that you can recommend? Yes, I have it on the blog, but you can also search for the products on the tick slayer. There's nascent iodine, which is your first defense. There's a ultra thyroid nutriment, which has no stimulants in it, but it's all the herbals and like also some minerals like copper that your thyroid need. And then there's a glandular in there that's really great. So glandulars are like really powerful. It's from organic cows from New Zealand that are happy. And that's where their glandular comes from. But yes, I would probably get all three and see what happens. I do wish my husband had heard you speak. He was out of town. You said a few things that he needed to hear, but hopefully he will believe me when I repeat them to him. He has never been a huge fan of alternative stuff. Yeah, no kidding. You know, a lot of people don't. I guess you have to have an experience with it to really understand how powerful it is. I do personally believe that that's the way that healthcare is going. Maybe not with Obamacare, but I do believe that a lot of people are going to start taking their own health a little bit more serious, and they're going to be doing things that are more preventative, which is really, really the key. You know, people ask me, you know, have you ever had a relapse? And I say, heck man, I haven't seen a doctor in 5 years.